The Last Human. Chapter 1. The Silent City. The year is 2029. London, now as silent as a graveyard. Streets that once bustled with red buses now echo only with the sound of the wind. Humanity is paying the price for a grand experiment gone wrong. My name is Dr. Elliot Hayes. I was born and raised in London. I grew up under the shadow of Big Ben and studied genetic engineering at Oxford. This city is my home, and now I might be the last person alive in this city. 3 years ago, I was working on a serum to cure a deadly virus, but things didn't go as we had hoped. Instead of healing people, the serum mutated them. Some died, and others turned into dark creatures. They are no longer human. They can't stand the sun. They emerge at night, hunt, and they don't think, but they are dangerous. Very dangerous. Every morning at 6:45 a.m., I wake up. I'm only accompanied by my dog, Bram. We patrol the abandoned streets, looking for food and medicine, and then return to my secret laboratory in Westminster. As I pass Trafalgar Square, I silently salute the massive lion statues. They've become tombstones now. Every day is the same. Every day is the same hope. Find the cure. Chapter 2. Sunset and Fear. That morning was like the others. I found some food at Camden Market, a few pills at an old pharmacy. The sky was gray. Occasionally, the sun peeked through the clouds. Those moments were precious, because once the sun sets, everything changes. It was 5:32 p.m. The sun was about to set. While returning to Westminster with Bram, I suddenly stopped. A shadow moved behind the bookstore's window. I squinted. There was something there. I was sure of it. I reached for my gun. I quietly slipped inside. Dusty shelves, an overturned table, books scattered on the floor. The silence almost deafened me, but I could feel something's presence. Bram growled softly, and then I heard a sound, a hissing, deep growl. A scream that was human-like but far more alien. I pulled back. With the last rays of the sun, the creatures were awakening. "Quick, Bram!" I shouted. We bolted into the street. I glanced at my watch. We had 7 minutes, just 7 minutes to get to the lab. We started running. Something moved behind us. Shadows were chasing us. The lights flickered, but the glow didn't give me any sense of security. There was only one thought in my mind. If I don't survive this night, humanity's last hope will die too. Chapter 3. The Lab and the Ghost of the Past. I reached the hidden passage behind Westminster Abbey. I entered through the steel door, closing it quickly behind me. The screeching metal echoed in my ears. I took a deep breath. This was my shelter. This was my home. Once an advanced research facility, it now served only me. As soon as I stepped inside, Bram curled up under the bed. I headed straight to the heart of the laboratory. In front of me, tubes, microscopes, screens, each filled with failed experiments. Another day, another failure. I put my head in my hands. I was tired, but I wouldn't give up. Flashback. 3 years ago, I was at that big meeting at the London Health Research Institute. The Genesis serum was being introduced. It was supposed to cure cancer, AIDS, and all deadly diseases. A scientist excitedly explained, "The serum reprograms the cells in the body. It's like rebirth." But I asked, what if the cells mutate while being reprogrammed? No one answered. Everyone just applauded. Then we got to work, and 6 months later, everything went wrong. Back to the present, I opened my eyes. In my lab, a blood sample from one of the mutated creatures was in a test tube. I looked at it every day. I was scared. But it was also my only hope. I turned on my computer. I started the voice recorder. Research log, day 1042. Today, the serum was applied for the 11th time. The cells deteriorated within 9 hours. The mutation cannot be stopped. But I won't give up. Because somewhere out there, if there's someone else alive, I need to find them. And that's when I decided. Tomorrow, I will go to the heart of the darkness, the forbidden zone, into the center of hell. Chapter 4. The Forbidden Zone. The next morning, I woke up in the dark. The lab runs on solar panels, so it only works for a few hours each day. The sky was still gray and misty, but this morning, I felt something else inside me. Determination. Today, I'm going to that area. Zone 6, London's darkest spot, the place where the virus first exploded. No one has ever returned from there. That is, maybe where the answer lies. I packed my backpack with essentials, a few serums, a small first aid kit, food, water, and my gun. I looked at Bram. He wanted to come too, but this time I couldn't take him. Stay here, son. Please. His tail drooped. I hated that look. When he looks at me like that, I feel the fear that I might never return. I stepped outside. I passed through the ruins of the Bank of England. The city was decaying more each day. The glass buildings were covey. I stepped outside. I passed through the ruins of the Bank of England. The city was decaying more each day. The glass buildings were covered in moss. Tower Bridge looked ominous, even from a distance. Every step echoed with the ghosts of the past. Human voices, children's laughter, music. Now there was only the wind and the waiting darkness. Chapter 5. The Encounter. As I neared Zone 6, the air grew heavier. It felt like the virus had poisoned it. When I turned the corner of the street, there it was. A building, its windows blackened. Inside, movement. I held my breath. For the first time, someone or something was so close. I slowly reached for my gun, but then I stopped. I heard a child's voice. Imagine that. I hadn't heard a human voice in 3 years. And now, from a dark building, I hear a child's laughter. Could this be possible? I approached the entrance of the building. I pulled out my flashlight. I took a step. The floorboards creaked. And then, suddenly, it appeared in front of me. It wasn't human, but it wasn't entirely a creature either. Half-conscious, pale-skinned, its eyes blood red, but in them, there was something. A look, a struggle. At that moment, I aimed my gun, but it didn't run, it didn't attack, it just stared at me. And then it spoke. "Dad?" My blood froze. This was impossible. Chapter 6. Ghosts and Realities. I froze. The being in front of me, calling me Dad, was standing there. Its eyes were red, but within them, there was the helplessness of a child. My voice trembled. What did you say?" The creature, or whatever it was, stepped back. It extended its hand. Its fingers were thin, delicate, just like Eliza's little hands. Eliza, my daughter. Something inside me broke. 3 years ago, when the virus struck the city, I thought I had sent my wife and daughter to the safe zone. They were under military protection. I had convinced myself it was true. But now, this is impossible. Is this Eliza? The thoughts echoing in my head were so loud I could barely hear my own breath. I lowered my gun. Then the building suddenly shook. A noise from above. The real creatures were waking up. And the thing that resembled Eliza whispered to me, "They're coming! Daddy!" Chapter 7. Escape and Breaking Point. The creature that resembled Eliza started running, and I followed. We passed through dark corridors and reached the roof. The sky was gray, but it wasn't yet the moment when the sun would fully set. But below, on the street, dozens of creatures had gathered. Eliza's shadow disappeared behind a chimney. I hid. We held our breath. One of the creatures sniffed upward. It recognized me. It screamed, a piercing, ear-splitting shriek that froze my heart. And then, they all started running. We ran across the rooftops. I jumped, slid, a tile broke, my knee bled. But I couldn't stop. I had to return to the lab, but all I could think about was one thing. If this is Eliza, if she's still alive, then maybe there's a consciousness hidden in the virus. Maybe there really is a cure. Chapter 8. The Shelter and the Question. By the time I returned to the lab, night had fully fallen. I was trembling as I closed the door behind me. Blood from my knee had soaked into my pants. Once inside, the first thing I did was take a strand of hair from the being that resembled Eliza. I examined it under the microscope. The virus was active, but different, suppressed. I turned on the recorder. Research log. Day 1043 today, I observed a live mutation, but this individual was conscious. It could speak. It looked familiar. I called it Eliza. If this is real, my serum might work, but this means no one may have truly vanished. Epilogue. Months later, a child's voice. "Mom, look, there's a device here, and a dog. It's alive." The woman picked up the device, a faded label on it. Treatment, final light. She smiled. Tears filled her eyes. She looked up at the sky, and for the first time after many years, Big Ben chimed again.